Hello everyone. I'm going to do a quick video today on how you can project YouTube videos into your Altspace events and worlds. A few people have reached out and kind of said there was a little bit of trouble with the media console that we used to use before. And when I say we, I mean those of us in Altspace that do events, right? But I think this will be a good alternative for you. I don't know why the web console is not working, but even if you configure it correctly, it's not your fault. It will not play. So this is my way of sharing an alternative. The instructions for what I'm going to show you is available on this page, and I will put the link in the description of the video. But please note, if you watch this video, you'll have everything you need. You don't actually have to read this page. There are 4 things you'll have to do, and that's 1, create an event in Altspace, which you can do on your computer or from within Altspace. Then you'll have to go to your computer, open up a Microsoft Edge browser, and add an extension. The link to the extension is on this page, but I'm going to show you that and walk you through how to set that up. After the extension is available in Microsoft Edge, the 3rd thing you will do is set up your own world. And in that world, you're going to add the Web Projector object from the basics of Altspace. And then finally, the 4th thing you'll do is start streaming and broadcasting. You'll stream from Microsoft Edge and you'll broadcast from within Altspace. And those are the 4 things you have to do. And I'm going to break it down so it's super easy. I'm trying not to talk too much, but this will help you know exactly what to do. So we're going to start by creating the event. So here I am in Altspace. I've logged in, I've gone to the events menu, and I've clicked on my events. So I am on the computer just for the sake of this video, but you most definitely can create the event from within Altspace, okay? Either way, whatever is more comfortable for you. I actually like creating in Altspace directly, but feel free to do it any way you like. So I'm going to start by scheduling a new event here. Okay, you see that I'm filling out my title and my description. Always use a title and description that's very descriptive but also compelling, right? Because you want people to come to your event. And so it should be something that's relevant, that you think that people will be excited about learning. Notice that this is about streaming YouTube from Microsoft Edge browser. I'm going to keep reminding you that you must use the Edge browser. Then I'm going to pick a start date and an end date. And I usually try to schedule my meetings like far in advance of the actual start date and end date so that I make sure that people have time to find out about it. So I might amplify my event in different ways. But I'm just going to pick today, and I'm going to move it out a little bit because this is really easy to set up. So I don't need a lot of time to set this up. Just a few minutes, really. I'm going to copy and paste my start date to my end date row, which I could have clicked on the thing, but sometimes I find copy and pasting easier as long as you remember to change AM and PM. Okay. Now, the next thing is really important. You want to pick a template for this private event. And I'm using a private event here just for the sake of this demo. You would make it public once it's ready. So don't make it public until you've decided when you're done fixing it all up, right? So I'm going to go down here and find a template, and we have a brand new one called Media Lounge. I really love that one. It's small enough, but it has a screen in the front. Use any of the templates where there's a screen, because this will save you time. You could use any template you want, including a blank world that you build, but I'm just trying to save you some time. If you pick a template with a screen already in it, it'll be faster to do the setup of the world, okay? So once you've made sure that you've selected a template, really important, that has a screen, and I'm choosing the Media Lounge here because it's a new one and I think it's really pretty, so you'll get to see it as well. And I'm going to scroll up here and go into advanced options. All right, from here, I can decide things like what are the hashtags that somebody might want to use, right? So they can click on those hashtags and it'll, filter down to things about that. And I don't know if there's a hashtag for deprecated media player, but I just made it up. I don't know if there's a hashtag for hashtag demo, but I can make it up. And then later on, I can use those hashtags as I continue to add other demos and stuff. I'm only doing the megaphone here because I don't want people flying around in front of my screen. And so I'm not adding the pilot. And then instructions, remember that instructions are what people see when they enter the room. So as soon as they spawn into the room, what do you want to say to them? How do you want to encourage them to interact with the room? Let them know if there's anything they need to know. Flight not possible, flight possible, videos, 30 minutes, whatever you want to tell them that in the instructions in less than 2 sentences. Don't make that long, right? I don't have any taglines. If I'm going to add my YouTube channel just for fun here, but you can decide what you want to add as references, and then I want to make sure this is unlisted. And that's because this is only a demo, and I don't want people to be finding this on their own. So just because it's a demo. Now, in real life, what I would do is finish setting up the event, and then I would list it and make it public. All right. So now we've done our first step. Now we need to add a streaming extension. So we're going to stream from Altspace, but right now that room has a media console and we want to stream a YouTube video. So I've picked up a YouTube video here that I want to stream in Altspace. It's just one of my old YouTube videos. But I'm going to use this tab to go ahead and add the extension. All right. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is find out where this extension is. So the extension is actually going to be added to Microsoft Edge browser. You cannot add it to Chrome. You cannot add it to Safari. So don't do any of that craziness. Make sure you download Microsoft Edge and you add the extension to Edge because the extension is only available for Microsoft Edge. Okay. And how do you tell you're in Edge? If you hit on those 3 dots and it says close Microsoft Edge, you're at the bottom, then you're in Edge. If you don't see close Microsoft Edge or you see no relevance to Microsoft Edge in your 3 dots, then you got the wrong browser, okay? And then we're going to add extensions, and that is a separate menu item. When you hit those 3 dots, you can add extensions, all right? Now, you'll see any extensions you've already added. If you've been using Edge, I'm sure you might have several. But we need to go get the one for Altspace. And that's where this instruction document page comes in handy. You'll go to this page and it says you need to download this extension and install it. When you click on that here, you're going to get the long Microsoft disclaimer that you need to accept, because if you don't accept it, it won't download it and you can't use it. So read it and accept it. And then after you do that, you'll notice it in your downloads, right? There it is. But we can't add it as an extension in zip format, right? So it's compressed at this time. And so what you want to do is you want to uncompress it, get the stuff out into a folder that is not compressed. And so in my case, I have some old decompression software on my computer that I don't want to launch by double clicking on this. So, but you can normally double click on this to decompress, and then you can pick a folder to put the decompressed stuff into, right? Which is every file that's compressed in that zip. But for this demo, I'm going to do a right click and I'm actually going to choose open with Windows Explorer. This will avoid my compression software from launching because it's expired. So sorry, I had to make this a little bit more complicated because of my machine. Now I'm actually going to copy everything that I see here when I open it in Windows Explorer. So you can do a Control A, or you can just select everything and then Control C or right click and copy. And now I'm going to go to my desktop and create a dedicated folder. Well, I'm actually going to go in the same downloads folder because my desktop has a lot of stuff on it. So I'm going to add a new folder to my downloads folder called, that I'm going to give a unique name that I won't forget, which is like Altspace Web Projector, right? Sounds good to me, right? It's clear what it's about. And then I'll open that folder and paste that stuff in there. Now, please note, you might have to refresh a couple of times. You cannot use that zip file for Edge. You need to use a folder with nothing compressed, right? So that's why we created a folder We called it Altspace Web Projector. And then in that folder is everything that we took out of the zip file, right? And so just double check that you have everything in there that matches the zip file. And now you're ready to bring that extension into Edge. And this is really important. Don't try to bring that zip file and it won't work. So now I'm back in my browser settings on extensions, and I'm turning on developer mode, and I might even turn on allow extensions from other stores, right? You don't need that one as much as you need developer mode, because developer mode will give you this new button that makes life so much easier. It's called the Load Unpacked button, right? But you won't see it unless you turn on developer mode. So now you click on that and you browse to that folder. Notice that this is the download folder where we know there's a zip file as well as this folder. It's not going to show us that zip file. It's only going to show us folders. So you want to make sure you set up that folder first, otherwise you'll actually not have anything to upload. You want to click this select, after you select the folder that everything's in, you want to click select folder, and now it's added to your extensions. And you'll see it there at the top, Web Projector 1.0.7 as of February 7th, 2021. That's the right version. And you'll notice the icon has been added that shows the Altspace logo directly in your browser to the right of the URL. And so if you go back to your YouTube video, you will now see that icon there for Altspace. And that's really important. And that was really easy to do. I talked a lot, but that really takes about less than a minute to just download it from the description page so that you always get the right version, decompress it, put it in a folder that's not compressed, select that folder as an extension. The good news about that is you don't have to do that more than once. You do it once and now it's ready for you to stream from now on. Okay, so we're gonna go to the third thing that we need to do, which is set up our world. And I'm actually joining the world from my computer as well. You can do this from Altspace. On my computer, Altspace opens full screen. So I can go to events there, and then I click on my events, and I find the event that I scheduled, and then I'm going to enter into that room. You can do what I'm about to do right now inside Altspace as well. So just remember that. You don't have to use your computer. You have to use your computer for setting up the extension and for streaming. Notice there's a media console object here in this thing asking us questions. And no matter how nicely we answer them, it's not going to work. So we're going to turn our edit mode on, turn on our editor panel, and then we'll see that media console in the list of objects that are in this room. We do not need this console because it doesn't work, right? So basically, in editing mode, we can go ahead and delete that console. Now, in most rooms, directly behind it is a presenter's panel as well. I'm gonna teach you a trick about the presenter's panel that will help you. Now notice there's a projection screen, right? So look, if I click away, I'm just clicking away to show you it's gone. Don't delete that grid there. That grid is what keeps people from getting on the stage without you letting them. So don't delete that. Just delete the media console. Then go back into your editor objects and click on projection screen. Don't delete it yet because I got a trick for you. We want our streaming to happen in the same place where that projection screen is today. And we don't want to have to figure out what the X, Y, and Z coordinates of that are. So we're going to hit the cog before we delete, and we're going to write down all of these settings, right? So basically the X, the Y, and the Z position of this projection screen is the same position we want to use for our web streaming projector. Now, the only thing that I disagree with is this 90 in the middle, because I really don't want any rotation. I want it to be flat. So I think that should be 0, 0, 0. And then the scale, I'm going to copy the scale as well as 1.75. All of this can be changed by hand, but the fact that we're kind of copying from what Altspace did saves us a bunch of time. So I wrote those coordinates down on a piece of paper, and then I deleted that projection screen. And now the projection screen is gone. I am not deleting that grid because I do want to block people from the stage at certain points in my event. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into the Audio Pattern and click on Basics, because now I need to add the Web Projector. So I'm going to click on the Web Projector to add it. And it kind of gets in your face right away. I'm not sure why. And this could just be the screen on my computer, but I'm going to use my down arrow on my keyboard on my computer to kind of back away from this. It kind of just like slammed me in the face. And so now I see it, right? Now I'm going to find it in the list of objects, and I'm going to go into the settings. Now in these settings, I'm copying what I did in the other one. So what I wrote down, I'm now typing carefully in here. And basically I copied the other ones again to match the positioning. But when you're writing these down, please remember you need to do them literally. Like, be careful to use good handwriting, because I have made mistakes in typing the wrong thing, and then I have this thing standing on his head upside down and all kind of weirdness, right? I think the rotation should be 0, 0, 0. Because I want it flat looking at you, but let's see what happens. And then the scale I'm going to match to that projection screen, which was 1.75. And now I'm going to confirm. And I'm actually going to come out of here. Normally I would lock this as well, but I'm going to come out of here, and you can see the screen there, the black screen behind the grid. All right. And now I know why they had a 90 there. It's the instructions are in front of the screen, and so they're facing the wrong way. So let's turn it around. So all we're going to do is go back to that object, and I'm going to flip it 180 degrees on the y-axis, which we'll just flip it around so I can see the front. So now we can see the front of the screen. All right. Basically, this is the most important setup, and that wasn't hard either, right? And the tip of copying coordinates from pre-existing things is a tip I use all the time. So I can kind of get closer. I can examine this up close. I can also use my controller or my mouse to reposition if the copied coordinates don't make me happy. But in this case, I think they make me really happy. And one of the hardest parts I have from my desktop is just moving around in Altspace. I want to turn off editor mode now. We don't need it anymore. And I'm going to close the world editor. So I don't need any of that anymore. Now we're going to go to the fourth thing we need to do, which is prepare to broadcast. So going back to your YouTube tab, now you can click on your Altspace extension icon. And here's where you don't log in with your Instagram, you don't log in with your YouTube, you don't log in with your mother's private website. You log in with the credentials of Altspace VR, the username and password that you use to log into Altspace via your headset as well. Okay, very important. When you do this, you're going to see that the dialog box appears with your Altspace name and the big button to start streaming. I want to point out a couple of things under here, which is the source. You can actually stream from a Microsoft Edge tab, or you can stream from a desktop application. Today we're going to stream from the Edge tab, all right? And we're going to ignore all the rest on the bottom because we don't even need it. It could be hidden, and I would be losing no sleep over that. This is an HD video, and you might be wondering why I don't change the video quality. I leave it the default to avoid buffering in Altspace, and then I'll just test it. And if I want to increase the, I do it in increments. So if that works well, I'll bring it up to 720. I don't go straight to 1080, right? I progressively iterate until it works well in Altspace. And so take a little bit of time to test your video quality playing in Altspace, all right? So now that I have that kind of set up, now I'm going to back up so that we can see the top right corner of this. Again, I'm always getting used to how to get around in. And you notice up here, there's a little connect icon, all right? Your guests will not be able to interact with this console. They will not be able to press play, press stop, or anything else. But you have to click connect, which will make the connection with the server URL, all right? And it kind of green screens it. It doesn't show you anything yet because you need to go back to the browser tab where you'll be broadcasting from, and you need to actually click start streaming. So you click start streaming, and now your video will begin to play in Altspace. Now, you are the only one seeing this playing right now. Just want to point that out. And you cannot interact with the player controls in YouTube, right? Any player controls you interact with from the browser, and that will stream into Altspace, okay? Now, because you're the only person seeing this, you need to also remember to do a broadcast, all right? Now, I have turned sound off, but sound will also work here. I am going to make sure that it's live. It'll say live on the browser, and it'll be playing in YouTube. The last thing I need in Altspace, the last thing I need to do is broadcast. So right next to connect is the broadcast button. So for the people in the room or your guests to see this video, don't forget to have both green lights on, the broadcast green light and the connected green light. After that, basically, you could exit out of the desktop version if that's where you are and go into Altspace with your headset. But you need to leave that browser tab open because everything that happens on this screen is being controlled by that desktop browser tab. So I usually keep my computer next to me during the event so that I can take a glance at it and make adjustments. For instance, YouTube loves to add advertisements in the videos. Again, that is a decision also from the YouTube publisher, but I might want to skip that ad, right? I need to do that from the browser. So any controls work that I want, fast forwarding, skipping, turning off sound, turning on sound, all of those controls happen from the actual browser tab, and then everybody that's in Altspace will see that as long as the broadcast icon has been turned on. Check with the room and say, hey, does everybody see the video? And then if they say no, usually the problem resides in either the extension, where you need to make sure that the extension is installed, or perhaps you didn't start streaming, or perhaps you forgot to hit broadcast. So those are the most common mistakes that people will make. But if you use this video as a guide, it should be easy for you to find what to do and broadcast your YouTube videos in Altspace. And so I hope this is helpful. I'm going to do some checking around to see if it's possible for us to use the browser in the Quest home. I will investigate. And if I find out there's a way we can use that browser, maybe even installing Edge in Quest, I'll let you know and post another video. But for now, remember that the streaming happens from the browser and everything else happens in Altspace. You can create a template, right? You can create a template, but don't forget to stop these things when it's over. So stop the broadcast and stop streaming. Otherwise, it's possible people can pick up that feed after you're done with your event. Like maybe you're done with your event, now you start writing emails to your customers. You don't want people to have a chance of seeing that. So make sure you stop streaming, you stop broadcasting, and you disconnect in Altspace so that now your computer is no longer being streamed anywhere, all right? And you're sure of that. Last thing I want to say is keep in mind that you only have to install the extension once. You don't have to do this multiple times. You can turn it off when you don't want to see it. You can turn it back on, but you don't have to keep doing that install process. It's a one-time thing. If you turn it off, though, the icon will disappear from your menu bar in your browser. So if you lose your Altspace icon for some reason, you don't see it, it's probably because it got turned off by accident, because it's not seen. You can just go back into your extensions and turn it back on, and it'll come back. All right. I hope this is helpful to all of you. I think this is a fun thing to do. I put some ideas in the description as to why you might want to use YouTube in Altspace. And I'll be talking to you soon because I'm a big fan of virtual reality, and I know you are too. Bye-bye.